Hello, my name is Jerry Wise, and I'm a therapist at Family Tree Counseling Associates, and this video is entitled The Loyal but Loveless Marriage. I have experienced working with a number of couples, dozens and dozens of couples who fit this profile and have this particular problem that they experience. And over 35 years in working with couples, that I find this is a common theme and a common difficulty, and couples are not sure how to recover or how to deal with this particular marriage that they've experienced. Let me use an example to describe, and we're going to call this couple Jack and Jill. There are lots of Jacks and Jills out there. Let me describe this marriage for you. Jack is a loyal husband. He clearly does what he can do to support and financially help the family and his wife with physical needs and financial needs. He goes to work, mows the yard, pays the bills, and does whatever he thinks Jill would want him to do or not do. He feels the marriage is for life, no matter how loveless or how unhappy his wife feels. He does not know how unhappy he is, only that he has enough of what he wants or feels he needs and goes with the flow. Then we have Jill. Jill is lonely, feels she exists in a loveless marriage. She does not feel special to Jack. She doesn't feel special really in any general kind of way. She doesn't feel really very understood, doesn't feel like Jack has lots of empathy, and she has come to see how she has felt little for her husband for many years. In fact, has begun an emotional affair, or an emotional and physical affair, with someone at work. If Jack were to find out, he would be hurt and mad, but would probably forgive her and would want to supervise her and make sure he could trust her loyalty again, but without making much of any changes in their dynamics or in their marriage. And by the way, the roles can be reversed. Jill could be the loyal one who kind of doesn't have a lot or knows a lot about intimacy, and Jack could be the unhappy, feels like he's in a loveless marriage and his wife really doesn't care about him all that much. Back to my original couple, Jack is codependent, kind of focuses on others, doesn't really focus on himself very much. He's very loyal, maybe very moral, maybe very rules-oriented. Traits he believes any woman would be happy to have in a husband. And he feels that his wife is very lucky to have him as a husband. Jill, on the other hand, is unhappy, maybe codependent or counterdependent, either focused totally on other people or focused totally on herself. She grits her teeth, she stays loyal, but out of her unhappiness, she feels the grass might be greener elsewhere. She now has children and has built a life with Jack. She has stability and a loyal husband, but feels lonely and does not feel there's much love in the marriage. The marriage, if I can describe it, is enmeshed emotionally. Now, a lot of people have a hard time with that because they think enmeshment means you're so close and you're so tight and so intimate that why would you have all this distance or feel so separate or feel so loveless? Well, enmeshment doesn't mean we're having healthy intimacy or healthy closeness. It just means we're emotionally enmeshed in an unhealthy way, but that can be experienced in a very detached and distant and separate way. But it's still, enmeshment is the problem. There's not enough self in the relationship. The marriage is enmeshed, very little separateness with the two of them, but they're in their enmeshment, they're very distant with each other. And this is the loyal but lonely marriage. It is over close and over distant at the same time. And that's why we call it loyal but lonely. So what creates the loyal but loveless marriage? Well, Jack, on the one hand, has a learned inability to be intimate and emotional, as well as he has many internal unresolved issues. But since they don't create a lot of technicolor kind of pain, or don't create lots of problems with maybe drinking or affairs or gambling or who knows what, they kind of lie dormant and nobody deals with them and no one addresses them. It's just the wife experiences her husband's distance and inability to be intimate emotionally. Jill, on the other hand, lacks a sense of self. She has an unhealthy view of men and has a number of unresolved inner issues herself. So what can Jack do to change himself in this marriage? Or if you have a marriage like this, what can you do? Well, first of all, resolving the issues that have caused only loyalty and enmeshment as being the main way of showing love. I show love by being loyal and enmeshed emotionally. Doesn't mean I'm intimate, doesn't mean we experience a lot of healthy kind of love or affection. It just means we're stuck together in a distant kind of way. Jack can also learn how enmeshment and codependency and people-pleasing are not enhancements to love and attraction. If you want to be attractive, enmeshment is often not the means to do it. It is common early in a relationship. It's common in dating, and that's how we kind of get connected. But if that enmeshment continues throughout the marriage or in significant levels, then we have real problems. It's not uncommon during a honeymoon phase to have quite a bit of enmeshment going on. But I also think it's possible to have kind of a honeymoon phase and not have an extreme amount of enmeshment. Jack should learn that doing more of the same will not enhance the relationship. In other words, let me try to just people please my wife even more, asking her more of what she wants. Well, what do you want me to do, honey? I'll do whatever you say. Well, for a woman who's looking for something different than just enmeshment, that's not a very good answer. Though it sounds right to Jack, because he's saying, well, I'll just do what she wants and she'll be happy. No, it involves other qualities besides that. Jack can remember that enmeshment takes a while to learn to identify and learn to change. It takes a while to unlearn that. Now, why is that? Because the way we see relationships is a part of our DNA. It is that tied to us. It colors our vision so much that it really does take a while to see what it's like and see what it's like to not be enmeshed. Jack often uses his love languages, if you're familiar with that term, which appeals to him to try to make her feel loved. In other words, acts of service or respect or maybe even physical touch. He might use those because those are things that matter to him. So he does that to her, but those aren't what she's looking for. So he doesn't identify her love languages. Jack must recover from the inner process in which he has made himself a magnet for unhappy women. And that's a part of his brokenness that he brings to this relationship, which is how we got to the loyal but lonely marriage. And Jack must work on reducing his caretaking and rescuing and reducing those two as his mode of showing love. Well, you can imagine it's going to take a minute to kind of change those patterns. Those are things that are deeply held within us. So let me talk about Jill. What does Jill need to do to change her part of this relationship. Jill needs to find her sense of self. She probably hasn't had one for years, if ever. She probably grew up in a very selfless kind of family, a very not really having a strong sense of self within her. Jill, it's important that she sort out reality from fantasy, because often we think, hey, that guy at work, he's just so nice, he treats me so nice, he says such nice things. My Jack doesn't do that, but Bob at work does. But it really is a fantasy. Not that it doesn't feel good. It certainly feels good, but it is a fantasy. Jill needs to learn to make decisions from her inner core or her inner sense of self versus external reasons. In other words, making decisions based on healthy love and healthy attachment to another rather than, okay, I'll marry Jack because he's safe and he's stable. And so out of that attraction, now I have kind of a loveless marriage. It's stable and it's safe, but it sure doesn't meet my needs in terms of a marriage. But she made that decision based on external reasons. Or because I've maybe been kind of too emotionally based in my decisions in my life and haven't always made the best decisions, maybe I should just make some out of just some external reasons. Well, but that doesn't heal or resolve the problems within us. Jill tends to ask Jack to do more of the same, only to find herself more unhappy. That's common. And that her paradigm or glasses that she sees through have not changed. So we have to change those glasses. We have to change how we see the world and how we see ourselves. Jill dreams about a better relationship with a partner or spouse, but has no idea how to achieve it. So she may attempt some unhealthy ways, as we've mentioned, affairs, maybe too much work, maybe having kids. All these will somehow give me something to love, and maybe somebody will love me back. Jill tends to have love languages which often cannot be satisfied, because Jill's bucket has a hole in it, and Jack could never fill her up, and could never fill up that bucket, and in fact, no one could ever fill up that bucket. So until Jill deals with her bucket that has a hole in it, it doesn't matter what relationships occur, because the Bobs at work, or the Freds at the gym, or Jack, none of them can fill up the bucket that she has inside that has a hole in it. Jill, throughout her life, has been attracted to men who can't come close. In other words, they cannot be intimate emotionally, and men who have a lot of trouble looking at their deep issues or looking at themselves. The Jills of the world can often be caretakers and rescuers as well. Jill finds a Jack she can either take care of or help or succeed in life in some way or help find excitement in life for him, because she's more into excitement or more into emotionality and wants to help him move to that direction. Jack will need to heal his inner wounds, and Jill will need to find herself, if you really want to help and deal with the loyal but loveless marriage. If they choose to do these things, then the marriage has a chance to succeed and grow, and each of them have a chance to be happy and to be themselves. If you know someone who has a loyal but loveless marriage, contact me and begin an exciting process of discovery and recovery. Call me at 317-919-6264. I do online Skype and FaceTime for those outside of the Indianapolis area. Join our channel on YouTube, and thanks for listening.